Hi everyone, it's Jen, and I'm going to explain a bit about why we use heading styles. Heading styles create order and organization inside your document. So they create like an outline. If you've ever created an outline for a report or a paper, this essentially is the main topics of your outline. So, for example, I'm going to create this fake report here about dog care. The first heading style I'm using here is the title style. That's the title style. It's the biggest one. And when you use the title style, you're only going to use this one time in your document because you should only have one title for your whole document. So it should only be used one time. Underneath my title here, I used the subtitle style. So the subtitle style here is a subtitle for my title, although you can use subtitles in other ways. But it's explaining a bit more about my title. Dog care, making sure your dog is fit inside and out. Then I have my heading ones. So these are all my main topics of my paper in order. The first thing I'm going to talk about is going to be an introduction, and it's going to be called Care is Important. And I'm going to make the argument why you need to take care of your dog and a little bit of clues how I'm going to talk about that throughout my paper. And when you have a heading style, of course, you're going to have some paragraphs underneath it. I have some fake paragraphs here just for sake of explaining. And then I have a section about food, and it's going to be all about food, and I'll get into that in a bit. One about exercise, one about grooming and health, and then I'm going to have my conclusion section, kind of like my beginning section, healthy routines for a healthy dog, which wraps up everything in a few paragraphs explaining why everything I just told them and how to create a routine is going to help them keep their dogs healthy. So those are my main heading ones here. Underneath those topics, I may have subheadings. So you can see you could have a heading one with no subheadings, and that's just one section of your paper. But I have a section here called food. And in my section about food, I have a little paragraph that is going to tell you all about why having healthy food is important. Next, I'm going to have some subheadings. I have a heading 2 here, which is about wet food, where I'm going to talk about that. Then I have a section called dry food, which I'm going to talk about that. Then bones and treats. So those are 3 heading 2s underneath my heading 1, subtopics. But I even have a further subtopic underneath bones and treats called healthy treat alternatives, because I'm going to talk all about treats inside here that generally aren't so healthy, and then I'm going to give them some advice underneath there. So that's a heading 3, a subtopic of my subtopic. All right, moving along, same dealy-do down here. I have a section called exercise. So in my exercise section, I have subheading 2 called walks and play, and then underneath play I have some subtopics, heading 3s, dog parks and outdoor activities, and I have a similar way of organizing my next section, grooming and health. I have a whole section about bathing, which is a heading 2, and teeth, which is also a heading 2, and vet visits, which is also a heading 2. And parasite prevention, which is a heading 3 because it's underneath my vet visits. Further down, I even have more about parasite prevention. So I have heading 4s in this section. I have flea and ticks and deworming, and then I have a section down below called shots, which moves back up to my heading 3. So you can see how you can use your heading styles to break up your document into organized sections and let your reader know where the topic is changing or moving to, as well as keep your writing organized. And that's using heading styles. In addition to creating a document that's organized and easy for your reader to understand as well as yourself, Using the heading styles unlocks all sorts of intermediate and advanced tools. I won't go into detail about them in this video, but just some examples are being able to use the navigation tools to go ahead and organize and click and drag sections of your document, going ahead and using the reference area to create an instant table of contents that is created out of your heading styles that you have already input. All sorts of other advanced features that allow you to go ahead and move around and organize your document in a professional, quick, and efficient way. So that's my introduction to using heading styles.